There was a time long ago when the people in a kingdom were so kind-hearted that they built homes for birds in their houses and allowed them to stay there in safety. The birds also were very grateful and lived there peacefully. They never did anything to bring trouble to their kind-hearted protectors. During those times, a pigeon lived in a little home built for him by a nobleman in the nobleman's palace. Every day, the pigeon would fly out and spend his day flying here and there, gathering grains and other kinds of food for himself. In the evening, he would fly back to his little nest in the palace of the nobleman. In the same kingdom, there was a crow. The crow, unlike the pigeon and other birds, was a very cunning and dishonest bird. He was always up to some mischief. One day, he saw the pigeon flying out of his nest in the palace. He said to himself,
"If I befriend the pigeon and gain entry into the nobleman's palace, life will be very easy for me. The cook in the palace makes many tasty dishes. I'm sure I can steal a bit of it every now and then. They will surely not notice the difference."
So, from that day, the crow followed the pigeon around till the pigeon asked him,
"Why are you following me around? I have seen what a fine bird you are. I wish to follow you so that I can learn all about you and your good qualities." "If you really think you can learn anything from me, you can come home and spend a few days with me. But let me warn you, if you are up to any of your old tricks, you will surely fall into big trouble. My master, the nobleman, is a very kind man, but will not tolerate a thief. Don't worry, my friend. I will never do anything wrong. Okay, now, let's go."
That evening, the pigeon took the crow home with him. The crow looked at the different kinds of food being prepared in the kitchen. The next morning, when the pigeon was getting ready to fly away, the crow said,
"I'm not feeling well today. Please let me stay here and rest a while till I feel better. I will join you later. Take care of yourself, my friend. I'm leaving now."
The crow stayed in his nest, looking greedily at all the food being prepared in the kitchen. He liked the fish more than anything else. The crow could hardly wait to taste the curry. The cook poured the curry into a bowl and went out to fetch some vegetables from the garden. Seizing that chance, the crow quickly flew into the kitchen. He held the lid of the vessel containing the fish and tried to lift it silently. But the lid fell with a big bang. The cook rushed into the kitchen and caught the crow red-handed. He plucked all the feathers and threw him out of the palace garden. One should never be greedy. Greed leads to nothing but downfall.
Dear children, did you see the plight of the crow for being so greedy? So what do you learn from this? The moral of the story is, do not be greedy.
lived in the forest, there were three friends, a deer, a tortoise, and a woodpecker. They were always seen together. They spent most of their time chatting or playing by a lakeside. One day, a hunter came to the forest and laid a trap behind the bush near the lake. The deer happened to be returning from the lake. He stepped on the trap and was caught in that trap. He cried out with pain. He called his friends and cried,
"I have been trapped. Please come and help me."
Hearing his cries for help, the woodpecker and the tortoise rushed to his help. They were horrified to see their friend in the trap. They thought of a plan. The tortoise went and called a mouse that lived in a nearby hole. The mouse and the tortoise started cutting the trap. In the meantime, the woodpecker flew to the hunter's camp. The hunter was just coming out of the tent. He had heard the cries of the deer and was anxious to catch him. The woodpecker acted quickly and sat on his head. He pecked twice on his head. Cried out with pain and went back to his tent to take rest. The woodpecker's purpose was solved. He flew back to the deer. By then, the mouse and the tortoise had cut open the trap and the deer was free. The three friends were united again and lived happily in the forest.
So, my dear friends, what you learned from this story? It is indeed very nice to have a lot of friends with you. The moral of the story is a friend in need is a friend indeed.
There lived a pair of male and female fox in a forest. They loved each other very much. The male fox loved the female fox so much that he would fulfill every demand made by her. One day, the female fox said,
"Dear, I have a great urge for eating fish today."
"That's no problem. I shall bring fish for you if you have an urge for it, dear." Saying this, he set out in search of fish. While going towards the river, he began thinking, "I have promised my wife to arrange fish for her. But I know nothing about fishing. How to fulfill my wife's demand for fish?" Lost in these thoughts, the fox reached the bank of the river and sitting in a corner, he began looking at the frolicking fish with greedy eyes. Seeing water all around in the big river and the water current frightened him. He got so scared to see the vast river, he began thinking of some possible means to get the fish without risking his life.
"I caught the fish first, therefore I should get a larger part of it." "No, I should get a larger part of it because I helped you to pull it out." "No, I caught it first. No, I caught it first. No, I want the larger part." "No, I helped you catch it, so I want the larger part."
Soon, both of them started quarreling. The cunning fox thought, "The foolish otters are quarreling over their catch. If I go and act as they judge, I'll be able to get hold of the big fish." So he walked up to the otters and said,
Dear otters, what's your problem? Not a big problem. Both of us have killed this big fish. Now the problem is how to decide our shares. Look, if you want, I can help you. I take pleasure in solving the problems of others. If you wish, I can bring out an amicable solution to your dispute. All right, I have no objection, provided he too doesn't have any objections. I too have no objection. That's great. Both of you, please wait for me here. I shall go and bring a knife from somewhere so that it becomes easy to cut the fish and decide your shares. Yes, please go and bring the knife. We shall wait for you here.
The fox went into the forest searching for a knife and came back with one big knife happily. Both the otters saw him returning with a big knife happily.
Come friends, now I can help you solve your problem.
Saying this, the fox cut the fish into 3 pieces. First, he cut the head off and then the tail.
You caught the fish by the head, so you should get the head. You caught the fish by the tail, so you should get the tail.
Both took their shares and now they had their eyes fixed on the middle portion of the fish. Both were thinking that the fox would divide it also into 2 halves and give them their shares. But the fox took the 3rd piece in his possession.
Friend, will you not divide the remaining piece? This piece should not concern you, friend. This is for the job done by me. Will you not pay me for the pains taken by me in going all the way to get a knife and decide your shares for you? The fruits of hard work should be shared by all. After all, I too am your friend.
Saying this, the fox took the middle portion of the fish in his mouth and went away. Both the otters were left behind to see him go with the largest of the 3 pieces of the fish. And by the time they realized what had actually happened, it was too late.
Friend, how much better it would have been if we had decided our shares ourselves. Now see, he gave us the top and the bottom portions of the fish as our shares and went away with the largest piece in his mouth. I have heard someone say that a dispute between 2 friends always benefits the 3rd one. Now let us take a lesson from this event that a marginal difference in our share would not bother us, and we shall never allow anyone to mediate between us. So children, what you learn from this? Never ever fight with your friend. As the 2nd otter said, whenever there is a fight between 2 friends, the 3rd one is always benefited. So the moral of the story is, do not fight among yourselves.
Once, some goats lived in a cave near a thick forest. Every day, they grazed in a green pasture that lay near their cave. It had green, luscious grass. The goats had plenty of grass throughout the year. They fed on the luscious grass and grew fat. One day, a jackal and his wife came near the pasture. They had not been able to find any food for the last 2 days. They saw the goats grazing in the pasture. Seeing them, they were very happy. The jackal rushed forward to kill one of the goats. However, his wife stopped him.
Do not be eager to kill the goats. If they come to know of our presence, they will run away. Wait till one of them comes this way. Then it will be easy to kill them one by one. We can kill 1 goat every day. We shall have plenty of food for many days.
The jackal said that it was a brilliant idea. They hid themselves behind a bush and kept a watch over the goats. After some time, one of the goats came near to the bush. Immediately, the jackal attacked it and killed it. The poor goat could not even bleat and warn off other goats. The jackal and his wife had a lovely feast. From then onwards, the jackal and his wife came to the pasture and killed one goat every day. Life for them became very comfortable. Slowly, the number of goats decreased. In the end, only one she-goat remained. The she-goat was very clever and had come to know that all her friends had been killed by the jackal. Therefore, she became very cautious and never ventured out of her cave. She stopped going to the green pasture. Instead, she fed herself on the green grass that grew around her cave. Meanwhile, the jackal and his wife thought that there were no more goats left. They decided to move away from there and find food somewhere else. As they were going, they happened to see the she-goat grazing on the green grass around her cave. She also saw the jackals and ran into the cave. She did not come out of the cave for a number of days. She ate the little patches of grass that grew inside her cave. The jackals waited outside her cave for a number of days. Yet they could not lay their hands on her. At last they made a plan. The jackal's wife went to the goat's cave. Then she said aloud,
Dear friend, I have come to make you my friend. I am very lonely and have no friends to share my secrets. I have always admired you for your cleverness. Please be my friend. We can share all our joys and sorrows. I know you hate me. It is because of my cruel husband. My husband is now repenting all his evil deeds. He wants to mend his ways. He has promised that from now onwards he will not kill any living being. We will feed only on green grass and plants. He wishes that you have lunch with us today. Therefore, he has sent me here to invite you. Please do not refuse. Do come for the lunch.
The she-goat said from inside her cave,
If this is an invitation, I shall come for the lunch. But I have some guests visiting me. They have come from the city and are staying with me for some days. I would like to bring them with me to your house. Will you be able to manage a lunch for all of us?
The jackal's wife thought that there must be other goats with her. She asked her,
Who are your guests and how many of them are there? They are my cousins, the dogs. There are around 100 of them.
The jackal and his wife were frightened of the dogs. So they decided to leave the part of the jungle. They ran away from there and never came back again. The she-goat continued to live in her cave. Soon she gave birth to kids and had a family again.
So, dear children, do you see how clever that the goat was? So, at times of difficulty, even all of you must be wise enough to come up with a wise decision quickly and fastly, so that you will never face difficulty in your life. The moral of the story is, act wisely in times of difficulty.
Once upon a time, there was a royal elephant that used to reside in the premises of the king's palace. The elephant was very dear to the king, so he was cared, well fed, and well treated. There was a dog who used to live in the neighborhood of the elephant shed. He was very weak and skinny. He was always fascinated by the smell of the rich, sweet rice being fed to the royal elephant. One day, the dog could not resist the aroma of the rice, and somehow he sneaked into the elephant's shed. He ate the sweet rice that fell from the elephant's mouth. He liked the rice so much. He started coming daily to eat the rice. For days, the huge elephant didn't notice the small dog as he was busy in enjoying the delicious food. Gradually, the dog became bigger and stronger by eating such rich food. He came under the notice of the elephant. The elephant used to enjoy the company of the dog and started sharing his food with him. Both of them also started sharing time with each other, and soon they made good friends. They ate together, slept together, and played together. It didn't take long when neither of them was happy without the other. They became great friends and didn't want to get separated from each other. Then, one day, a man saw the dog and asked the elephant keeper,
I want to buy this dog. What price do you seek for the dog?
The elephant keeper didn't own the dog. Still, he sold the dog and extracted some of money out of this deal. The man took the dog to his home village, which was quite far away. The king's elephant became very sad after this incident. He missed his friend a lot and started neglecting everything. He didn't want to do anything without his dear friend, so stopped eating, drinking, and even bathing. Ultimately, the elephant keeper reported this to the king. However, he didn't tell anything about the dog. The king had a wise minister who was known for his understanding of animals. At once, the king asked the minister, Go to the elephant shed and find out the reason for the elephant's condition. The intelligent minister went to the elephant shed and found the elephant very sad. He looked the elephant all over and asked the elephant keeper,
There is nothing wrong with this elephant's body. Then why does he look so sad? I think this elephant is grief-stricken, possibly due to the loss of a dear friend. Do you know if this elephant shared a close friendship with anyone? There was a dog who used to eat, sleep and play with the elephant. He has been taken by a stranger 3 days ago. Where is the dog? I don't know. Your Majesty, as per my opinion, the royal elephant is not sick, but he is lonesome without his dear friend, the dog. Do you know where the dog is? Elephant keeper has informed that a stranger took him away and he didn't know about his whereabouts. How can we bring back my elephant's friend and make him happy again? Your Majesty, make a declaration that whoever has the dog that used to live at the royal elephant's shed will be penalized. Attention everybody! Attention everybody! Whoever has the dog that used to live at the royal elephant's shed will be penalized. This is the king's order. The king did the same, and the man who took the dog instantly turned him loose when he heard the proclamation. When the dog was free, he ran back as fast as he could to reach the elephant's shed.
was so delighted to see the dog that he picked his friend with his trunk and made him sit on his head. The dog waved his tail while the elephant's eyes sparkled with happiness. The king was contented to see the happy elephant once again. He also rewarded the minister for his wise judgment. Both the elephant and the dog lived happily ever after.
Children, what do you understand from this story? Did you see what a wonderful relationship that the elephant and the dog shared with each other? That is friendship. Friendship is one of the most beautiful things that can ever happen in one's life. The moral of the story is true friends can never be separated. Even if you fight with your closest of friends, I think you'll make up later, sure, because I know that you can never be separated from your true friend.
A long time ago, deep in the forests, there lived a large group of monkeys. The monkeys had a king who was big and strong and ruled over them very wisely. The monkeys had discovered a mango tree that grew on the banks of the river. It had big, delicious mangoes. The wise monkey king cautioned all the monkeys, saying, "Don't let a single mango fall into the river. If you do, the river will carry it to places where the humans live. And once they get to know about this fruit, then we will not be safe here anymore. For they will come here in search of the fruit and destroy us to keep it for themselves." So, the monkeys were very careful and were always on the lookout for ripe mangoes on branches at the edge of the river. But one day, a big, ripe and tasty mango fell into the river without their knowledge. The mango floated on the water and reached the other side of the stream. The royal washerman was washing clothes. He found the mango. It appeared to be very juicy and sweet. He decided to gift the mango to the king.
Your Majesty, I found this ripe golden mango on the bank of the river in the forest. I thought you will like to see such an extraordinary mango, so I have brought it to you.
The king ate the mango. It was the sweetest mango he had ever tasted. He wanted to have more of such mangoes. He thought,
"The washerman found it floating on the waters of a river. Surely it must have floated from the other bank of the river. There must be a mango tree on that side of the river."
So he decided to find out the source of the mango. He took some soldiers with him and rowed a boat to the other side of the stream. From the boat, they could see the mango-laden trees. The king was very happy. Now he could enjoy the mangoes. Meanwhile, some monkeys saw the men coming that way. They ran to their king and informed him that some men were coming toward the orchard in boats.
We must get out of the orchard. Now, all of you, swing on the vine and reach the other bank of the stream. I will follow you when all of you have reached safely on the other side.
Old and baby monkeys to swing to the other side. When he was sure that all the monkeys had reached the other bank safely, he got ready to swing to the other side. All his subjects were waiting for him on the other bank of the stream. But the vine was now too weak to bear the weight of the Monkey King. It broke and the Monkey King fell into the stream. falling into the stream, all his subjects began to cry for help. The king was watching all this. He was impressed by the way the Monkey King had sent all his subjects to a place of safety. Seeing him falling into the water, he ordered his soldiers to rescue the Monkey King. The king welcomed the Monkey King and said,
I am much impressed by your sense of responsibility. Your subjects are now all safe on the other side. You are very tired. I invite you to my palace to spend a few days with me.
Your Majesty, thank you for your kind invitation, but I cannot come with you. My place is with my subjects. I have to stay with them.
You are really a great king. You know very well the responsibilities of a king towards his subjects. I am also a king and cannot harm you or your subjects. I had come here to get the golden mangoes. However, no, I shall not touch these mangoes. This is your kingdom. I cannot cause any harm to it. Please continue living here with your subjects.
Thank you so much for sparing my kingdom and saving my life. I cannot let a friend go away without a gift. Please accept some of these juicy mangoes and take them with you to your palace. Every year, I will send some of these sweet mangoes to your palace. It will make our friendship everlasting.
The king's men took some mangoes and returned to their palace. The monkey kept on living in the forest.
So, dear children, did you see how noble the monkey was, how responsible he was, and how affectionate he was towards his subjects? That's the way you'll have to treat your co-friends and everybody else. The moral of the story is, please be kind to all others in the world.
One summer afternoon, a rabbit was resting in the shade of a coconut tree. He had eaten a rather large lunch of fresh carrots. As he lay snoring in his sleep, the rabbit had a strange dream. He dreamt that the world was breaking into pieces. Suddenly, there was a sharp sound as a dry coconut from the tree fell with a loud thud right next to where the rabbit lay asleep dreaming. The rabbit got up with a startled yelp, thinking that the sound he heard was really that of the world breaking up. He hurried away, screaming at the top of his voice that the world had come to an end. Soon, the others joined, and there were many animals all running blindly together, shouting with meaningless fear that the world was coming to an end. At last, the crowd of animals reached the middle of the forest where the king of the forest, the lion, lived in his den. The lion had just had a good meal and was just dropping to sleep when the noise of so many animals running and screaming at the top of their voices disturbed him. He came out of his cave and roared mightily.
Why are you all shouting like this? Have you all gone mad?
Your Majesty, the world is coming to an end, and that's the reason why all of us are running.
What nonsense! Who told you?
The elephant pointed to the bear. At last, the deer pointed to the little rabbit who stood there shivering in fear before the lion. The lion asked the frightened rabbit,
So, what made you think that the world was coming to an end?
While I was sleeping under the coconut tree, I dreamt that the world was breaking up. Then I woke up hearing a loud crashing sound.
The lion could now see things clearly. He took all the animals to the spot where the rabbit had slept.
This silly little animal heard the noise of a falling coconut and panicked. He started a rumor and you all believed him. At least from now, you should all decide never to believe in rumors.
All the animals were ashamed of themselves and decided that from then on they would never believe anything blindly.
So children, what happened in this case? Everybody was so ashamed of themselves. They blindly believed in the rumor that was started by a small rabbit in his dreams. So what is the moral of the story? What you hear is not always the truth. You'll have to inquire in detail and learn what the truth is and then start believing it.
A great sage once had a group of disciples. They were all very bright and eager students, and the sage had all reason to be proud of them. One day, the sage realized that he had imparted enough knowledge to his disciples. Now, they were very learned. There was only one thing that the sage had not taught them, and that was the special verse that could bring the dead back to life. The sage knew that such knowledge was too wonderful and could prove to be a dangerous thing in the hands of someone who was not very wise. The wise sage pondered over this for a long time, but he also knew that if he did not pass on this secret verse, it could die with him. So, at last, he called his cleverest disciple aside and said,
I'm going to teach you a very special verse. If you chant this, you can bring life into any dead person or animal. Use it only when you need to and never misuse or test your powers vainly.
disciples together and said,
I am sending you all into the forest for 40 days. Go together and come back together. Each one of you has to help and guide one another to do good things.
Yes, Guruji.
So, the disciples started out together into the forest. They were all united. But the clever disciple, who knew the special verse, wanted to show how he was better than the others. As they walked into the forest, they came across a dead tiger in the way. It was huge and looked fierce even when dead.
Now, I am going to show you what our teacher has taught me alone. How to bring life back into the dead. I will prove it to you by bringing this tiger back to life. Please don't do anything to prove yourself vainly. Moreover, if you put life into this tiger, it will only turn on us and kill us all. This will not be a wise thing to do.
But the clever disciple had decided to prove his skills and prepared to recite the verse. But before he did so, the other disciples scrambled up to the topmost branches of a big tree nearby. The disciple then recited the magical verse. First there was nothing, and then slowly the tiger began to breathe. The tiger opened his eyes and saw this tiny human jumping and shouting in front of him. Roaring loudly, the tiger pounced on the poor disciple and killed him. After some time, the disciples came down and took the body and went back to the sage.
What happened to him?
Guruji, he gave life to a dead tiger and he was killed by the same tiger.
The sage uttered the magic verse and brought the dead disciple back to life.
Guruji, please forgive me.
My dear child, do you understand the consequences of misusing your power?
I understand, Guruji. I will use my knowledge and power only for good things.
Let this be a lesson to all of you. And now, I will teach the verse to all of you.
The sage taught the verse to all his disciples and sent them into the world to do good. He was sure that after such a lesson, they would all be wiser and use their knowledge and learning only for doing good.
So, my dear children, whenever you acquire power or you have power in your possession, please do not misuse it. Always, knowledge and power should be handled in a very right way. As children, you may not know, but please take the advice of elders and always use your power in a positive way. The moral of the story is, use your knowledge and power in a positive way.
Once upon a time, very long ago, the birds of a forest were ruled by the Hornbill. He had proclaimed himself the king without anybody's consent. He was cruel and unfair ruler. He was short-tempered and got angry very soon. Innocent birds would get scolding from him without any reason. The birds did not like him and wanted to choose a new king. One day, they called a secret meeting of all the birds. The bird had chosen a tree quite far from the forest so that the Hornbill would not know anything about the meeting. The agenda of the meeting was to choose a new ruler for them. Many names were suggested for the new king, and at last Bulbul was chosen to be their king. All the birds agreed to make Bulbul their king as she was kind and gentle. She humbly accepted the offer. However, there was one problem before them.
How to tell the Hornbill that he was being dethroned? Whoever went to him with the news would be killed. Don't worry about this problem. I have made a plan. To carry out my plan, I will need the help of our friend, the woodpecker. If you all trust me, let me try out.
All the birds accepted his offer. The woodpecker agreed to help him. He took the woodpecker to a tree.
Remain hidden and cut the branch. Stop pecking at it just when one blow is needed for the branch to fall.
After instructing, the woodpecker flew to the hornbill. The hornbill was just wondering where all the birds had gone. Seeing the owl, he said,
Where have all the birds gone today? There is nobody to attend upon me.
Your Highness, all the birds feel that you should prove your capabilities. We have decided to hold a branch breaking competition. If you succeed in breaking the branch, we will know your strength and power. However, if you do not succeed and some other bird succeeds, he or she will be chosen our king.
The hornbill was proud of his potentials. He said,
I am strong enough to break a branch. Take me to the venue of the competition, and I shall break the strongest of the branch.
Yes, Your Majesty.
The owl guided him to the tree where he had hidden the woodpecker. All the birds of the forest were also present there. The owl selected a strong branch of the tree and said to the hornbill,
Your Highness, this is the branch you have to break.
The hornbill was so sure of his success. He at once started pecking at the branch. He tried for a long time but could not break even a portion of the branch. Soon he grew tired. The owl said,
Your Highness, the stipulated time is over. You could not break the branch. The next participant is the bulbul. If she succeeds in breaking the branch, she becomes our king.
When I could not break the branch, how can such a delicate-looking bird break it?
The owl led Bulbul to the branch that had already been cut by the woodpecker. Only a last blow was needed to break it. The bulbul had to peck at it only twice, and the branch broke and fell to the ground. Everybody cried out with happiness and cheered the bulbul and proclaimed her their king. The hornbill was so ashamed of himself that he flew away from that forest and never showed his face again. The gentle and kind bulbul thanked all the birds for making her their king. She especially thanked the owl and the woodpecker. She justly ruled over the birds. The birds were happy to have such a kind and gentle king.
Dear children, did you understand where the fault lies? Never be proud of yourself. If you be proud, nobody will like you, and that certainly leads only to your downfall. So the moral of the story is, pride leads to downfall.
Once upon a time, in a small village, there lived a mouse. Out in the green fields, he had made his cozy hut. The whole day, he would enjoy munching on wheat and corn. Miles away in the city, lived his cousin in a small hole in a posh house. One day, the country mouse was very excited. His cousin was coming from the city to meet him. The city mouse arrived at the village.
Hi there, brother. Seeing you after a very long time. Welcome, dear. Nice to see you.
They hugged each other. Then the country mouse led his cousin inside the house. When the city mouse sat down to dinner, he was surprised to find that the country mouse had nothing to eat except barley and grain.
Really, you do not live well at all. You should see how I live. I have all sorts of fine things to eat every day. You must come to visit me and see how nice it is to live in the city.
The country mouse was glad to do this, and after a while, he went to the city to visit his cousin. The very first place that the city mouse took the country mouse to see was the kitchen cupboard of the house where he lived. There stood a big paper bag of sugar. The little city mouse gnawed a hole in the bag and invited his cousin to nibble for himself. The two little mice nibbled and nibbled, and the country mouse thought he had never tasted anything so delicious in his life. He was just thinking how lucky the city mouse was. "Run!" whispered the city mouse. And they ran as fast as they could to the little hole where they had come in. The little country mouse was shaking all over when they got safely away.
This is very terrible. Let us not go back to the cupboard again. No, I will take you to the cellar. There is something special there.
So the city mouse took his little friend down the cellar stairs and into a big cupboard where there were many shelves. On the shelves were jars of butter and cheeses in bags and out of bags. Overhead hung benches of sausages, and there were spicy apples in barrels standing about. It smelled so good that it went to the little country mouse's head, until he saw an especially rich, very delicious smelling piece of cheese on a queer little stand in a corner. He was just on the point of putting his teeth into the cheese when the city mouse saw him.
Stop! Stop! That is a trap!
The little country mouse stopped and said,
What is a trap? That thing is a trap. The minute you touch the cheese with your teeth, something comes down on your head hard and you are dead.
The little country mouse looked at the trap, and he looked at the cheese. He looked at the little city mouse.
If you will excuse me, I think I'll go home. I did rather have barley and grain to eat and eat it in peace and comfort than have sugar and dried prunes and cheese and be frightened to death all the time.
So the little country mouse went back to his home, and there he stayed all the rest of his life.
So children, do you understand what they're trying to say in the story? Never be greedy. Please don't think about what you don't have. Rather, think about what you always have. So the moral of the story is, be happy with what you have.
Come on, little bunnies. Give thumbs up for the video, share with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for more awesome videos.